There's a new coaster hitting the Magic Kingdom scene. It's gonna be fast, it's gonna be high tech, and it'll completely change Magic Kingdom and how you plan for Disney World. We've got all the details, the tips, and secrets for you today on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today we're diving into the digital universe to give you a full look at what you can expect when TRON Light Cycle Run finally opens up in Magic Kingdom, and how you're going to have to change your plans because of it. Now, why do I say finally? Well, TRON was originally announced at the D23 convention back in 2017. Some of you weren't even born in 2017. At the time, Disney's goal was to have this coaster up and running for the Disney World 50th anniversary celebration kickoff in 2021. But because of some major setbacks that happened after the, pandemic, Imagineers had a lot of catching up to do to proceed with the TRON plans. But after literal years of waiting, like I said, some of you weren't even born, TRON is now only a couple of months away from gracing the Tomorrowland scene with its neon blue lights and super high speeds. But what exactly should you expect from not just TRON, but also Magic Kingdom and Disney World as a whole when this coaster blasts off on April 4th for everybody? Let's discuss. Let's start with TRON may not be everything you hoped for. So TRON's not open just yet, but Disney has been running previews for certain groups, and we got to experience the ride over the weekend with some cast member friends. Now, we got the cold hard facts about those tricky lockers and uncomfortable seats, but don't worry, we still found this ride to be epically fun, though there are a few things you'll need to know about. While many people are praising this ride for its awesome theming and stellar nighttime ride-throughs, many are not too keen on how short this ride is. You can fit the majority of the ride into a 1-minute carousel post on Instagram. Now, it's not uncommon for a Disney ride to be short, and it's especially not uncommon for one of the coasters to be short. Rock and Roller Coaster only clocks in at a little over a minute as well. But if you were planning on spending possibly $17 per person on those individual lightning lanes for TRON, then the length of this one could make you think twice. And yes, the seats are uncomfortable. The bike style is similar to the ride vehicle on Flight of Passage, but if you're comfortable on that ride, don't assume the same for TRON. The seats lean forward quite a bit on TRON, more so than on Flight of Passage, and being locked in place with those leg restraints while leaning on a hard surface can be awkward and leave you feeling stiff after the ride, so good thing it's short. And since the seating is unique, there's nowhere to store your stuff. Luckily, Disney has provided free lockers to hold your larger things, and by larger things we mean everything except for a phone or wallet. We'll get more into the seating, alternative seating, and those lockers in just a minute, but let's talk about the good stuff because our team really did enjoy this ride. Tricky stuff aside, TRON features an incredibly immersive queue that gets you up to speed on the storyline of the ride, so you don't need to worry about sitting down to watch any of the TRON films before your next trip if it wasn't already on your to-do list. The launch of this coaster is the most thrilling part, and it is very smooth. If you've ridden Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, it's that level of smooth, though it feels a bit more like Rock and Roller Coaster due to that launch. Is it Disney's most innovative, high-tech, or thrilling coaster? Not quite, but it is definitely the most thrilling ride in Magic Kingdom, and while the ride system is nothing groundbreaking, there are some incredible effects within the ride itself that aren't tied to the time of day you ride. We've got some more thoughts to share on our experience, but first let's dive into the details of this ride and how it's going to affect and hopefully not ruin your next Disney World trip. Okay, so TRON is going to be the first Shanghai Disney ride to enter Disney World. You know how Disney likes to share all its rides across all its international parks? Yeah, that's what's happening here. To fully appreciate TRON Light Cycle Run's origins, we're going to have to fly over to China for this first point. Let's go. When Shanghai Disneyland opened overseas in 2016, it blew guests away with its state-of-the-art rides and attractions unique to that park. Shanghai Disneyland introduced us to attractions like the Once Upon a Time adventure walkthrough inside its enchanted storybook castle, Pirates of the Caribbean Battle of the Sunken Treasure, and Winnie the Pooh's Honey Pot Spring. But one of the big new staples of the park was TRON Light Cycle Power Run, a cyber-themed roller coaster with a storyline that picks up after the TRON Legacy film. The plot, Sam Flynn, the main character in TRON Legacy, has been opening up new gateways into the digital realm all over the world. While his first portal happens to be in Shanghai, his second is going to be in Orlando, because why wouldn't it be? But there's more to this TRON story than just portals alone. You're going to have to race. Magic Kingdom has always been known to have tons of fun rides, but mostly the coasters here aren't going to be breaking any speed records by any means, until now. A big part of the TRON Light Cycle Run storyline is going to be racing through a dark computerized world. According to the Disney website, your team's going to compete to be the first to race through 8 energy gates and claim victory. Because you're the good guys here, you're going to be part of the blue team racing against the grid's most menacing programs, aka Team Orange. And that means you're going to have to book it on your light cycle to come out victorious. Darkness. This train of two-wheeled light cycles is going to reach speeds up to 59 miles per hour. If you want to put that in perspective, Rock and Roller Coaster over in Hollywood Studios tops out at 57. Mix that in with adrenaline-spiking music, 3D graphics, and digitized darkness, and you're going to be experiencing the most thrilling Magic Kingdom ride yet to date. What is digitized darkness? I don't even know. Now, this is one of the coolest parts of the ride that people aren't really talking about. The time of day you ride is going to impact your experience. Will riding Tron during the day be different than riding Tron at night? Definitely. Lighting's going to play a huge role on Tron since the indoor roller coaster will feature shifting light panels on its outdoor canopy. The attraction's canopy is known as the upload conduit, which is decked out with over 1,200 light fixtures. That means the ride experience will change its vibes completely depending on the lighting. I think the ride should still be cool either way, but man, I tell you what, when we've seen those light panels tested at night, they have looked incredibly vibrant. It's like riding inside one of those glow cubes you get in your Disney drinks. So it turns out the Tron coaster canopy doesn't just light up blue, it can also display a wide range of different hues that we're hyped to see put into action while riding it ourselves. But I think it's compelling that when Disney puts out a ride-through video of this, it's usually at night. Now, unfortunately, getting on the ride isn't going to be as easy as walking right up and getting into a line. In fact, when Tron opens, it won't be using a standby line, period, at least not yet anyways. Instead, it'll be using a virtual queue system, something that was implemented via the My Disney Experience app for Disney World when Rise of the Resistance first opened in Hollywood Studios back in 2019. Virtual queues help manage the lines for these new rides so they don't grow to be outrageously long and end up wasting guests' entire park day just waiting around in a 5-hour physical queue, which yes, has happened on several occasions pre-2019. In order to have a chance of getting into Tron's virtual queue, you'll need to have theme park tickets purchased and park pass reservations secured for Magic Kingdom. Virtual queues are great if you can get in them. They allow you to reserve a space in a digital line, that way you can still go on about your park day as usual until your boarding group time arrives. Then you'll just show your My Disney Experience boarding pass to the cast member, and whammo, you're in. But let me repeat what I just said. Virtual queues are great if you can get in them. The downside for boarding groups and virtual queues is that they get snatched up within 10 seconds of going live for the day, and I'm not exaggerating. We've seen it happen time and time and time again, and we don't expect Tron to be any different. So if you're going to Magic Kingdom soon and you want to raise your chances of getting a boarding group number for Tron's virtual queue on the My Disney Experience app, here's what's worked for us in the past. Strategy 1, check your Wi-Fi speed. On free, reliable websites like Google Fiber, you can check and see what your Wi-Fi speed is before you try to join the virtual queue. Timing is of the essence, so if you think that disconnecting from whatever Wi-Fi you're using and relying on your phone's data plan is going to be faster, then it's best to figure that out before it's too late. And don't forget, you're not the only one trying to get in that queue. Literally everyone around you is trying to do the same thing, so that Wi-Fi at Disney is going to be strained. Strategy 2, confirm your party before 7 a.m. Beginning at 6 a.m., you can tap into the virtual queue and pre-select the people you want to ride with. That way you have fewer steps to worry about when boarding groups are available at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. On the app, under Join Virtual Queue, you'll find a button that says Confirm your party. Once you hit that button, the app will find the people who are linked to your account. You'll select each person that you'll want to add to the boarding group, then choose Confirm Party. Strategy 3, consider a possible third option. Now, this isn't a surefire possibility or anything, but it is worth mentioning that the virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and Epcot, which we'll talk about more here in just a sec, offers a third virtual queue drop at 6 p.m. for guests who are eligible to attend extended evening hours on select Epcot dates. Extended evening hours are only available for guests staying at one of Disney's deluxe resorts and will allow you to hang out in the parks up to 2 hours after they close for everyone else. For Magic Kingdom, extended evening hours often happen either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but are always subject to change. You can figure out when they'll be available for you by checking out the Disney World calendar online. Now, I'm not saying that a third virtual queue line for Tron will be guaranteed for extended evening hours guests when the ride first opens. Disney has not announced that yet, but we'll keep our ears to the ground to let you know if we hear anything one way or another. Strategy 4, know where to join the virtual queue. You can attempt to join Tron's virtual queue through the My Disney Experience app by selecting the Join Virtual Queue button on the home screen. To help things go a little faster, tap on this button before 7 a.m., then refresh the app as you get closer to the time. Once 7 a.m. hits exactly, the second Join Virtual Queue button will turn blue, beckoning you to press it and grab a boarding group number ASAP. Strategy 5, try again. If you missed that sliver of opportunity to grab a 7 a.m. boarding group, remember you've got another chance at 1 p.m. The main difference between the two drop times, aside from one being in the morning and the other being in the afternoon, is where you're going to be able to grab those boarding passes. For the 7 a.m. drop, you can be anywhere, your hotel room, a coffee shop, in the car, an airport, anywhere. Just as long as you and your group have valid park tickets for the day and park passes, you'll be able to compete for your spot in line, even from the comfort of your bed while you're still sporting your jammies. But for the 1 p.m. drop, you must already be inside Magic Kingdom. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Next thing you need to know about TRON coming in, there's a good chance TRON won't just impact Magic Kingdom. So I told you I'd come back to talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, and here we are. Per the release of this video, Cosmic Rewind still uses a virtual queue system and has been ever since the Epcot coaster opened back in May 2022. But when it comes to virtual queues, Disney has been following a pattern. This pattern being when one virtual queue opens, another one closes. We saw this happen to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure when Cosmic Rewind opened, and we saw this happen to Rise of the Resistance when Remy's Ratatouille Adventure opened. It's like a virtual queue baton being passed down from one newbie to the next. Now we've got a pretty good feeling that Cosmic Rewind won't be sticking with their virtual queue system for too much longer once TRON opens up, since it seems Disney doesn't like having multiple virtual queues, but we could be completely wrong. After all, TRON will be opening during a historically high traffic time for the parks anyways, so being able to manage the crowd levels for both of their newest coasters may be a useful tool for them, and it also doesn't seem like Cosmic Rewind's virtual queue is getting any easier to get in right now. However, if the virtual queue pattern we've been seeing these past few years keeps up, then TRON's opening could very well lead to Cosmic Rewind getting the chance to use its physical standby queue for the first time ever. We will keep you updated. Please join our newsletter. We put the link in the description below, and that's a free newsletter that we will let you know when we find out if Cosmic Rewind will continue to use a virtual queue or not. Now, let's talk about paying to get on the ride, right? We're not done with Cosmic Rewind yet. We're going to jump back in time and look at what Epcot was like on Cosmic Rewind's opening day. In short, it was packed. Even if guests didn't get a 7 a.m. boarding group, many guests were still coming to the park in droves, hoping to get that 1 p.m. time slot instead. Not to mention, there was exclusive opening day merchandise being sold at Creation Shop that guests were trying to get their hands on as quickly as possible. Now, here's the real interesting thing about Cosmic Rewind's opening day. Though the virtual queue filled up within seconds, there were still individual lightning lanes for sale until 7:20 a.m. That meant if you were up around 7 a.m. but missed the boarding group window entirely, you still had another chance to guarantee a ride on this coaster by paying to skip over the virtual queue. Disney did mention that individual lightning lanes will be available for TRON Light Cycle Run as well. So this could be a solid plan B on the day of your visit to help you secure your spot in line without having to race against the virtual queue clock. In fact, this could wind up being your plan A if Disney World is one of those vacations you don't plan on repeating anytime soon, and you want to make sure you experience this coaster while you're there. But here are two crucial things you're going to have to keep in mind. One, this isn't going to be a pocket change decision. Individual lightning lanes do add up and will be at their most expensive price point on a ride's opening day. For Cosmic Rewind, individual lightning lanes cost $17 per person per single ride through when it first opened, meaning a family of 4 would have to pay $68 extra for that line bypassing privilege. We're expecting TRON to be around the same price, if not higher. I'm kind of betting on $20 or more. And 2, individual lightning lanes will only be available for you to purchase at 7 a.m. if you're staying at a Disney-owned hotel. If you're staying off property, individual lightning lanes won't be available for you to purchase until the parks open. Since Magic Kingdom usually opens around 8 or 9 a.m., it'll more than likely be way too late for you to purchase an individual lightning lane for TRON by then. They'll be all sold out. So if you're planning on buying an individual lightning lane for TRON, also plan to book a Disney-owned resort for your stay. One last thing you're going to want to consider, and then I promise to leave you alone about lightning lanes. When you pay for an individual lightning lane, you'll have the chance to choose your return time. If possible, try to choose an individual lightning lane for later in the evening if you want the ride to feel faster and be able to see all of the wild lighting effects, because lighting plays a super important role here, and we're expecting this ride to feel way more intense when it's dark. However, if you've got folks in your group who'd rather not experience a more intense ride through and would rather just enjoy the visuals more than the thrills, stick with a morning return window instead. Now, Cosmic Rewind isn't the only coaster that could be seeing some major changes after TRON's big opening. Currently, when you go to Magic Kingdom, the hit ride with the longest wait times is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train over in New Fantasyland. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a gentle, swaying coaster that takes you through the Dwarfs Diamond Mine and around some twisty-turny tracks. Ever since the family coaster opened back in 2014, it's been the most popular ride in the park, with wait times often pushing 75-minute thresholds daily. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is so popular, in fact, that it's the park's one and only ride that you'll have to pay for an individual lightning lane if you want to skip over that queue. But that could change soon. When individual lightning lanes started up in Disney World in 2021, each park had 2 of these a la carte options. So for Magic Kingdom, that happened to be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain. But at the beginning of last year, Disney made what was supposed to be a temporary change and added Space Mountain to the regular Disney Genie Plus lineup of lightning lane rides, meaning you could grab a lightning lane for it, but you could also grab a lightning lane for other rides throughout the day too for a single price per person per day. Ever since, there's only been one individual lightning lane for each of the 4 parks, with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train being the sole individual lightning lane for Magic Kingdom. So big question, will Seven Dwarfs Mine Train still use an individual lightning lane when TRON opens, or will Disney switch it over to be part of the standard Disney Genie Plus lineup? My knee-jerk response is to say it'll probably wind up being the latter, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train will more than likely be kicked off the individual lightning lane train, so to speak. Disney likes to keep things pretty even after all, so they may not really want only one park having 2 individual lightning lanes, while each of the others only has 1. However, I could also see Seven Dwarfs Mine Train staying put and remaining an a la carte purchase. After all, the crowds Magic Kingdom attracts for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train are going to be different than the crowds it's attracting for TRON. Not all kids are going to be able to ride their own light cycles yet, and Seven Dwarfs has been a steadily popular ride since its opening because of how good it is for families. There's a little thrill there, a little dark ride there, and a lot of fun all around. Ergo, Disney may keep that coaster's individual lightning lane in check, just because it'll still end up making them money. But again, we'll let you know when we hear about a decision one way or another. Again, don't forget to sign up for that DFB newsletter. That's where we announce the stuff first. Another way TRON's gonna change Magic Kingdom, your itinerary will look the same until it doesn't. When TRON first opens, we're predicting that the way guests navigate the park is still gonna be real similar to what we're used to. And that's all thanks to that virtual queue system. Before virtual queues, new Disney rides used to mean that everyone and their mother would rush toward the queues for the latest and greatest attractions, leaving other rides and shows behind in the dust. Which was great if you didn't care about the new ride. You were able to get so much done everywhere else because people were standing in line for that new ride for 4 hours. But now, since guests don't have to stand in a physical line for TRON, the rides they'll be prioritizing getting in line for are going to be all the same ones they have been in the past. You're still going to see people trying to get to Seven Dwarfs or Peter Pan's Flight or Space Mountain first thing in the morning, and then pacing out the rest of their day from there. But when the physical queue does eventually open up for TRON, because it will later on down the line, I think we're going to start seeing the masses show up early to get in line for it early, which could actually be super beneficial to those who want to prioritize rides like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or Peter Pan. Whatever ride you're going to want to get in line for first, I'd recommend using that early theme park entry available for guests staying at one of the Disney-owned hotels. Early theme park entry allows you to enter any of the parks on any day 30 minutes before they open for everyone else. And that means you can have some epic leverage on your Magic Kingdom day. And just a heads up, April in Magic Kingdom is gonna be wild. I don't know how else to tell you this, folks, but we've got a perfect storm brewing in Magic Kingdom for the beginning of April. Not only is TRON Light Cycle Run opening on April 4th, but the return of Magic Kingdom's hit nighttime spectacular, Happily Ever After fireworks, are coming back to Cinderella Castle starting April 3rd. And on top of all that, early April is still the peak of spring break season for so many schools across the country. So even if it weren't new rides and shows coming to Magic Kingdom, it'd still be packed out. So here's AJ's super speedy Disney crowd advice that you're just gonna have to take with a grain of salt. If you are bound and determined to fight your way against the crowds to see these new Magic Kingdom developments, get your park tickets and park pass reservations ASAP. Do not wait, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Don't even wait till you're a couple weeks out. Get them and get them now, because park capacity is more than likely gonna book up solid for those days in April. I'd also recommend you take a look at our 50 ways to avoid the crowds video on our DFB channel here for a ton of good tips to help not just survive the masses, but learn how to escape them altogether when need be. Now, if you're teetering, trying to decide if you should go to Magic Kingdom in April or later on in the year, my advice is to wait it out. If you really do have the option to wait and go to Disney at a time when you're not going to have to experience shoulder-to-shoulder crowds, then do that. I say this knowing full well that many of you do want to go to Magic Kingdom at the beginning of April because it's going to be a madhouse. There is something about being in a crowd of people who are all just as hyped up as you are about the same thing, getting to experience it before so many others. It's like New Year's Eve in Times Square, right? But if you're so not a crowd person, waiting until later, maybe even August or September, could provide you with fewer crowds and an easier time to actually get on TRON and see Happily Ever After. Now, because Park Pass reservations are going to be hot over at the Magic Kingdom, we could start to see other parks mellow out a little bit. You may be able to get into the other parks more easily. Hollywood Studios tends to be another park that sells out quickly, but since the newest thing opening up over there this year is going to be Roundup Rodeo Barbecue on March 23rd, lots of Disney guests are probably going to be gravitating toward more of the shiny new attractions rather than another barbecue joint, though I'm sure it's going to be a great barbecue joint. I'm not saying you have permission to wait to book your Hollywood Studios park passes until the last second, because that park's still going to fill up, but you might not have to stress over booking a month in advance like you had to before. Now, I love this new change. When I say you're going to be riding your own light cycle on this coaster, I mean it. You know how Hagrid's motorbike adventure over in Universal's Islands of Adventure has those motorbikes you can rev up during their ride? Same seating concept applies here. You will be straddling the seat of this coaster like you would ride a bike, just with more safety restraints. The typical TRON vehicle has a locking feature that comes in on part of your legs, as well as a back plate that comes down to secure you in place. So you will have to lean down to get into the right position to take hold of those handlebars, and you'll need to fold your legs into the proper position for the locking mechanisms to come down and secure you even further. Now, the back plate does not lock you in, but it does provide some structure there. You can sit up while riding this ride. You don't have to be leaned over the whole time. Now, for some, getting onto the vehicle may not be a problem, but for others, it can be. Those who can't fit onto the bike style vehicle, or those who may find it uncomfortable to have those metal bars kind of holding your legs in, can still ride TRON, but they'll need to request an adaptive seat. These seats look more like a regular Disney coaster vehicle that you're used to with individual lap bars. For those with disabilities or mobility concerns, seen or unseen, these seats will help you to have a more comfortable ride, but there are a few things you should know. There are only 2 adaptive seats per train, and not every train has them, so you may have to wait a bit to be seated in one of these. Your whole group should be able to wait with you so you can all ride together. The groups that need more than 2 adaptive seats will need to split up. There's also a 48-inch height requirement, and we haven't heard many concerns from smaller riders at this time. The restraints are adjustable, so even those on the shorter side should be secure in the standard bike seats. There are test seats near the entrance of the ride, so you can check out the ride vehicle before you get in line. And if you do need that adaptive seat, speak with a cast member ASAP and they'll get you to the right spot, but be prepared to wait a little bit longer. Okay, 2 words. Complimentary lockers. Am I seriously excited for a bunch of ride lockers? Yes. I guess, I don't know, maybe excited is too strong an emotion for lockers. But regardless, new complimentary lockers are going to be available for you to store your belongings in before you get on TRON. And you're going to have to do this, by the way. This isn't like an option, right? You can unlock your locker with your Magic Band or ticket for easier access, but if you don't want to use one of these lockers, there will be a small compartment on the ride vehicle. You can store items like phones or glasses or wallets, but you are not going to put in a backpack or a park bag or a stroller in that little compartment. So go ahead and use those stored lockers or leave your stuff behind with a non-rider. Now, with any technology, especially new stuff we're not used to using at Disney World, there can be a learning curve and straight up malfunctions. You will need a ticket card or Magic Band to unlock the lockers. You can't use Magic Mobile on your phone. So if you don't have either of those things, you'll be provided with a locker card. There are plenty of cast members around to help if you forget your locker number when you exit the ride. There's a screen off to the side to scan your band or card to let you know where your stuff is too. And if you accidentally lock your ticket in your locker like we did, then a cast member can come and unlock it with a tablet. Now, let's look at the meta change that TRON is bringing to Magic Kingdom. Tomorrowland is like a time capsule. When it was originally built in Magic Kingdom over 50 years ago, it was the version of the future that Imagineers thought could happen. And yes, this is me going all Disney nerd on you, but the ironic thing about the Tomorrowland vibe now is that it's dated. And for some, that's a super nostalgic and wonderful thing, and for others, it's kind of irksome. So the Carousel of Progress takes us into the Christmas of the future and introduces guests to clunky-looking video game technology and electronics that talk back to you, while the People Mover shows this massive futuristic hairstyling contraption that makes me claustrophobic just looking at it. There's something charming about this dated look of what Imagineers thought the future could be, but later on there were IPs added to the area like Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor and Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Great attractions, but also still not very futuristic feeling. Monsters Inc. is basically an on-screen improv comedy show, while Space Ranger Spin has us pointing laser guns at cardboard cutout targets. And don't even get me started on Alien and encounter in Stitch's Great Escape. But now there's TRON, which is actually going to be this super high-tech, futuristic attraction. I'm not really presenting this topic to y'all to search for a solution, because I don't think there's a solid one out there. If Tomorrowland were to get a complete futuristic overhaul, much like we're seeing with the additions in World Discovery over at Epcot, then we're risking losing some of those classics we've come to know and love. And I don't know if I'm ready to navigate a world without Carousel of Progress. But on the other hand, I'd be flat out lying if I said Disney should just embrace that dated Tomorrowland vibe and not change a thing, because I'm so excited to see TRON added here. I think it's going to be a really good thing that'll bring back some life and excitement around this area of the park again. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is Tomorrowland is turning into a kind of sort of time capsule, but now with more glimpses into an actual futuristic experience. It's definitely controversial for Disney fans, and I'm interested to see what Disney does with it going forward. It's safe to say that TRON is a very fun ride, but maybe since we've been waiting so long for it, or because Epcot just opened Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, reviews seem to be a little mixed. There are definitely some accessibility concerns with both the standard seat and the fact that there are so few of the adaptive seats, but for most people, those won't be a major hindrance to your enjoyment of the ride. Brush up on the virtual queue process and consider ahead of time if you want to spring for individual lightning lanes, and you should be set to experience Disney World's newest coaster. So it won't be long now until TRON Light Cycle Run is open and ready to shake things up in Disney World. So make sure you keep following the DFB team on our YouTube channel, our social media, our website, as we continue to cover the grand opening for one of the most anticipated Disney coasters of all time. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.